Okay. Thank you. All right. So today's topic is about conflict resolution and building communication skills, so that we build stronger teams when we work together. I do this workshop with students. I do it with teachers. Um, it's something I discovered a few years ago, and I've been building it and doing more research on it, and it's something I really love to do. So I hope that it helps you all today to understand yourselves better and the people you work with, and build better relationships with people because of knowing what you will know at the end of this. So here we go. So I've said here, a tale of two colleagues, and it could be any colleagues, and we often either feel annoyed with people or impatient or whatever, because different people will act differently than what we do. And so it's sometimes you'll feel that someone's being too bossy, they're being too lazy, they're too impatient, whatever it is. So I'm going to help you learn how to know yourself better and how you appear to other people, as well as why people do what they do. So it's all about getting to know you. This is something that I talk to with my students when they work in teams together, for projects and even presentations. To know your team is to be more productive. So I think I've covered everybody in the pictures here. But it's all about getting to know who you are. And when you know who you are, then you understand others better. So that's me. Okay, so who are you? So I want you to reflect on these questions. How would you describe your personality? Anybody want to share that?
I've got a good comment, Dr. Cullen. I am an open-ended personality.
You're a total what?
Open-ended.
I like it.
Yeah, like I don't like options that put pressure. Always,
Yes, that's quite
I
true.
always look for leeway in order to make up my mind and choose to do the thing the way I want to do it. Yeah.
I can't see the chat box, so I don't know. Can anyone see the chat box?
Yes, only
Okay.
Ms.
All
Ivy
right.
and I can see it. Yeah.
Actually, Rafiq, I'll get you to tell me if there's anything in the chat box, because I can't see it. I can see a box here, but not the chat box. All right.
Okay.
So if I was describing my personality, I'm somebody who is very hands-on. I like to be very inclusive and get everybody to join in. But there's other people who are not the same as me, who prefer to be more in the background. I'm very much out in the front. So also the second question, how would you describe your communication style? Anybody like to share that?
Polite and diplomatic, Doctor.
Oh, that's good. I like it. Yes, that's a good one. Thank you. All right, and the last question, how do others perceive or respond to your communication style? Have you noticed how people either tell you or how they act with the way that you communicate?
Can I jump in, Dr. Cullen?
Yep.
I feel that, especially in the workplace, the comments I usually get is that I'm very direct, very frank. Sometimes I need to be diplomatic, like Ms. Ivy, maybe.
Ah, so like Ivy, you have to be more diplomatic sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. sometimes we see how people respond to us and we have to step back a bit or step up, depending, you know, if you're not being, not pushy, but being assertive enough. Oh yeah, sorry, I do have another one. So how do you commonly react under stress? Anyone like to give an example? Can you see me? Can you see me as well?
Yes, we can.
Can you see me as well, or just the slideshow?
No,
We
we can
can
see
see you,
you as well.
doctor.
We can see
You can
you.
hear me, but can you see me or not?
Yes, yes, we can see you.
Okay, this is how I react under stress. It's like, no, why did that happen? How can I fix this? Stress just is, you know, like everybody is under stress these days, and I think we've all had a very long, hard semester as well, and this is the end of it, and it's a little bit less stressful this week because classes are finished, but it's still stressful because we now have exams and marking and course files and all sorts of things coming on top, right? So we're all going to have more stress in the next couple of weeks as well. But we do have some holidays coming up. All right, so I usually ask my students, so and I'm asking you as well, when you consider any upcoming work, like the next couple of weeks, or projects or classes, but we've finished the classes. Sorry, what was that message, Ivy?
Doctor, I just reminded everyone the microphone is active for them. They can unmute so they can
Okay,
participate.
thank you. Thanks. I didn't get to read it quickly. Yes, please, everyone that's here, feel free to unmute your microphone if you want to join in. It's much more fun when you join in. Okay, so when you consider your upcoming work in the next couple of weeks, especially where we're going to be stressed, what are you most excited about? I know my answer for that one. Anybody got an answer?
Holidays.
Yes, that was my answer as well. Holidays. We're all looking forward to some holidays. And I guess too, finishing our work. Although I don't think work ever finishes, but finishing some deadlines, right? And what are we most nervous about?
Meeting the deadlines.
Yes, true. Meeting deadlines, absolutely. All right, so ask yourself, who am I? We should always want to know who we are, because it's how we put ourselves forward to other people. So it's good to do a self-reflection, and one way to get to know yourself as well as how others see you is by using a geometric shape test. I found this test many years ago and I really liked it, and I actually now look at people as shapes. I can tell what shapes people are, so I know how to deal with them. And that's something that most of us, without knowing this, you just get annoyed with people, or you get impatient, or don't like people because you don't actually realize why they act the way they do. So I'm hoping that today I can help you be able to assess people easier as well as yourself, right? So a geometric shape test is a test that I found, as I said, and now I like to use this, especially with my classes, because I like them to understand the people they're working with in teams. So we're going to play a game now. There's 5 geometric shapes that I'm going to show you in a second. Now, when you see them, don't analyze them. I want you to pick the first shape that you identify with, that you feel is you, right? Don't second guess yourself. The first one that jumps out at you and says that's you, please choose that. You don't have to tell me what it is yet. So I want you to choose it that it's something you identify with or is significant to your personality characteristics, right? So here's the shapes. We have a circle, we have a triangle, we have a square, we have a rectangle, and we have a squiggly line. Can everyone choose one, please? Don't say what it is, just remember it. Now, that's shape number 1. And I want you to think of why you picked that shape. Just have a reason. What was it about that shape that made you choose that? And just remember that. Now I want you to choose a secondary shape and think about why. So you should have 2. They can be the same or they can be different. It doesn't matter. The shape that you identified with first, and then if you had to choose a second one, what would it be? Everybody got them? Now normally I group people together with the same shape, the first shape that you chose. But because we're doing this online, I was going to do breakout rooms, but I'm glad I didn't because there's not really enough of you there. But normally that's what I would do in a room so that everyone knows the shape that's the same as them. So I'm going to talk about them, right? So the first principle of effective communication is knowing yourself. If you know yourself, it makes you feel more confident and it helps you deal with other people better. So the first shape that you picked, it represents the outside you. It's how people see you and it's how you want them to see you, right? So I'll talk about the shapes in a moment, but I want you to know that that's the outside you, that first shape. Second one, excuse me, I'm still getting over the flu, so I have a bit of a raspy throat. So the second shape that you picked is the inside you. That's who you really are, but you often don't want people to see that, or it's how you would like to be, but you're not confident enough to be that shape. So you'll understand when I explain what the shapes are, what they represent. So why do we do this test? It's a simple test that helps us understand ourselves and others, and it's useful in determining where somebody will fit in a team and how they relate to others, to the tasks that you have to do. So I've found it very useful in assisting people in understanding who they are and identifying your strengths and your weaknesses, especially when working with others in teams. We all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. If you're aware of that, you can work on your weaknesses and you can also improve your strengths. And when you understand the strengths and weaknesses in other people, it helps you deal with them better in a team. All of my groups, especially this semester, they've been telling me how this really helped them work together better, and it helped them know who should do what in the team. So I hope that by the end of this, you'll feel the same way. So each of the shapes describes a personal style, reflecting the way you communicate with others, how you make career choices, how you choose your friends, how you deal with stress, and how you make decisions. Anyone got anything they want to ask or anything at the moment? No? Please feel free to ask me any questions or make comments. I'm happy to talk about this. I love this topic. All right, so most people are predominantly one shape, but you can change shapes depending on your life circumstances. And I change sometimes depending on teams that I'm in, where I see that my outside or my inside shape, I have to take over. So I'll explain those very shortly. But this test, they say that it has an 86% chance of being right when you choose the shapes. I feel like it's higher than that. I rarely see somebody not be the shape that they chose. I did have, when I worked at UAEU, I had a engineering class, and one of the girls said to me, Miss, I'm not that shape at all. And I said, well, as I said, it's not 100%. However, I said, I want you to go home and ask your family and your friends what they think. She came the next day and she said, my family said I'm exactly like that. And I laughed and I said, that's because we don't often realize ourselves how other people see us, right? So it's good to know what your shape says about you, because that's probably what other people are seeing, even if you don't realize it. So, is anybody a square? Is anybody a square? Ivy, can you see the chat box?
And nothing in the chat box, Doctor.
Okay. Come on, Tim. You're working. I want you to work with me. So there's no squares here? Anyway, all right. So everybody's shy. I don't know why.
I am one, Dr. Colette.
What shape did you pick, Mr. Rafiq?
I picked the square, yeah.
You picked the square as number 1.
Yeah.
Right. And what was your second one, the inside one?
Was the triangle.
Ah, yes, I can see that. And actually, I see that you're a square as well. I always knew that anyway. All right, so squares, they build step-by-step plans, and they focus on structure, rules, and detailed steps. I have a joke with the squares when I do this in class, because I say, you know, this old saying that squares are the people who, you know, like, they're inside the box, right? They don't like to break rules. They don't like things not neat and tidy and done correctly and so on. And that's very true about squares. And everyone in my classes that just finished, the squares there, they were laughing. They said that's exactly what they're like. So if any of you pick them, that's what they do. They like things. They like playing by the rules. Then the rectangle, they're similar to the square, but they're more willing to get out of the box a bit. They push the boundaries. They don't mind breaking the rules a little bit if it's going to help what they're trying to do. But they bring a fresh perspective, and they grow through that process. They actually like seeing a new take on something. Then the triangles, they're the leaders, right? Usually they pick the triangle because of the peak at the top, and often people say because of the 3 sides being equal. And triangles like taking the lead, and they focus on the key goals, the outcomes, and leadership. And if you had the triangle on the outside, then you're a strong leader. You like leading. If it's on the inside, because I'm a triangle on the inside, and I'm a circle on the outside. I'll explain circles in a minute. But triangles on the inside, this is my words, but I call it a soft leader. And by that, I don't mean like wimpy or not a good leader. It's just that as a leader, what I tend to do is I'm very much a leader, but I'm not a leader that says, go and do this, come and do that, and tell people what to do. I look at a situation, and then I would say, have we tried this? Do you all want to try this with me? And I softly lead. I don't lead, you know, like in a I don't know, autocratic way. So I call it's a softer leader when it's on the inside. So that's what I am. I don't know if anybody else was a triangle on the inside. Rafiq, you said you're a triangle on the inside, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe in consultancy as well. Yeah, I hate telling people what to do, because if at the end of the day they do it only because they are fearful or under stress, that doesn't mean I'm a good leader. So to me, leadership has to come from servitude, from being seen as a role model, and believing of what we share in common. I mean,
No, no, you do similar to what I do. What
yeah,
you like, if people are undecided or they're not doing what they need to do,
yeah,
you will lead them
accommodate.
to doing the right thing, right?
Yeah, but
That's what a
still, I
triangle on
don't.
the inside does. You won't say just go and do it. You'll say, how about we try this, or come on guys, let's get this finished. So that's what a triangle on the inside does, whereas a triangle
Yeah,
on the outside is um, a lot more. I don't know what the word is.
yeah, I totally see what
Yeah,
you're
I was going to
where
say
you're
a
coming
harder
from.
leader, but that's true, and some people need that, right? But I prefer
What I
the
wanted
softer.
what, what I wanted to say is that I believe if
Yep,
you are a very strong leader, in the sense that you push people around and you have your own ways to get them to do things in spite of them, that is not good leadership. And right now, because I'm a very good fan of
yep,
soccer, I watch a lot of what's going on. And Alonso, who is the coach of Real Madrid these days, because they say he's so like forceful and so assertive and aggressive in his approach, he ended up losing a lot of players that don't want to even listen to him. And that
yep,
tells you that sometimes leadership has to be a negotiation process more than
exactly.
anything else. So
Yep,
yeah, I believe in the fact that your team members have to buy in what you are saying, not to follow
exactly.
because you have legitimate power and they have to
Yep.
follow. That I don't believe in. Yeah, and thank you for this good comment. Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is the squiggly line. Now, usually squiggly lines, well, not usually, squiggly lines are very creative people. And I always thought that I was a creative person, and I am, but in a different way. Usually, if you pick the squiggly line, it's because you're very creative, and usually you do something with your hands, like, I don't know, pottery or playing a musical instrument or painting, something that is very creative. And I wish I could do those things, but I can't. But I'm creative in a different way, which I'll explain when I get to the circle. But the squiggly lines are people who, in a team, they will have all the ideas, but they've got no structure. They're not good with details, which the squares are. They're not leaders. That and if a team said, okay, let's do, I don't know, a conference, right? And then somebody in the team says, like the squares say, well, we can't do it just now because we don't have the money, we don't have the facilities, we don't have enough people, and so on. And the squiggly line would just throw their arms up and say, let's just do it anyway, because they just have ideas and they want to run with it, whether it's feasible or not. But then you've got the people like the squares and the rectangles who start saying, well, no, we need this and this to do it. So they're the more practical shapes. So now we get to the circles. So I'm a circle on the outside, and they're people who build connections, and they like to include everybody. They ensure the team works well together. When I actually have this in class where I've got everybody in their shapes in the teams, I say everybody look at the circles and remember them, because if you want to have a party, they're who you get. They're the organizers. They will organize everything and help everybody feel included. So circles are the nurturing togetherness people. And so I'm very much a circle, and I know that. And it was funny because when I first saw this test and I realized the different shapes, and I thought I actually picked the shapes perfectly to my personality. I've got people waving, going past my office. Okay, so the left brain thinkers are the concrete thinkers. They're concise and they're very orderly. So what shapes do you think they are?
Square.
Yep, a square. What else?
Rectangle.
Yes, the rectangle and the triangle, right? They're all concrete, concise and orderly, so they're left brain thinkers. Then the right brain thinkers, obviously, we've got two other shapes, so they're the creative and visionary people. They're very people orientated. The left brain thinkers are not so much people orientated, right? But the right brain thinkers very much so, and that's the circle and the squiggly line. So I always say, what shape is your leadership? If you're building a team, I always try and tell students, don't just pick your friends, because you're not learning anything new from your friends. So I do groups randomly. People take numbers, and like all the ones are together, all the twos and all the threes and so on. I randomly build the teams because I want them to learn something different from different people. And I think that's a more productive way of building a team. But then I say, look at the shapes in your team and work together with them, because that's how you're going to get the most out of people. And I usually did this at the end of a course, because there's never time at the beginning, but I'm going to start doing it at the beginning, because what my classes told me this semester is if they had done it at the beginning, they would have utilized everyone in their team better. They said once we did this, we realized that different people in the team had the wrong jobs for the project they were doing because they were the wrong shape. And they realized themselves they would have been better doing different tasks. So from now on, I'm going to do it at the beginning of a course rather than at the end. So to learn about your shape, strengths, weaknesses and opportunities, I'm going to explain them a little bit more now, and how can you use your strengths more effectively. So there's all the shapes there. So I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to go through the square, because this Ivy's going to put it now on the Teams chat so that you can have a copy of it. And it's got all of the Ivy, can you still do that?
Doctor, I'm also having an issue uploading this.
Oh, all right. Well, Ivy's got it. So if anybody wants it, please send Ivy or me a message and we'll send it to you. Okay. But I'll just go through this one because then you know. But squares, if you want a job done right, you pick a square. They're organized and hard workers. They like structure and rules. They don't like when they don't know what's expected of them. They need deadlines, and then they'll get the job done. And they always deliver. And they don't usually like working with a team. They like to work alone because they don't feel like other people will work as hard as they do. And they like everything in order, you know, like A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, because they collect lots of data and they file it so that it's easy to locate, and they have trouble saying I've got enough information. They will always keep trying to find more. And they also like making decisions, right? They have trouble making decisions. So the characteristics are there, and it doesn't mean you have everyone, but they're the characteristics that most of you will have, right? Your personal habits as well. They love routine, they're very prompt, they will always be on time and very sorry if they're not. They like collecting things, and they have a very strong sense of loyalty. Ivy, what are you? Ivy? Oh, shit.
Sorry, doctor.
That's all right. What shape
Uh,
what shape did you pick?
I picked the circle on the outside and squiggy on the inside.
Ah, and are you creative or you would
Yes.
like to be? And when it's on the
I
inside,
used to
often you
be.
want to be. Okay.
I used to be.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, I know you're a circle on the outside. I was going to say that that's what you are because I've seen that in you before. Right, so then personal habits, then your conflict styles and how to please a square. So if you're working with a square, you have to make sure you do your job properly because they do not like it if you don't. You have to meet deadlines. They get really annoyed if you haven't met deadlines that you've been given. Um, you have to pay attention to the details. They don't like people saying, oh, good, near enough is good enough and so on. They like you to be detailed, and you always have to be at work on time if you're working for a square or turn up on time to a meeting that a square is organizing. So that's the main things about a square. Then there's the circle there. As I said, I'm not going to go through all of them because we won't have time, but this is on the handout so you can see. But I will just mention a couple of things in the circle because it's me as well, and it's also Ivy. And no, Rafik didn't have that. I don't know if there's any other circles there, but it's very true about how to please a circle. You have to be prepared to stop what you're doing and chat. They like to chat because they get to know people more by doing that. They also have lots of meetings. I don't know why, but I've always been like that. When I was a director of a company and head of a department at UAEU, I always had meetings. And I didn't realize until I did more research on this that that's normal for circles. And something that I really don't like is people lying to me. Um, I don't mind if people make mistakes and they tell me, I deal with that. But I hate when somebody lies to me, and I tell my students this: don't lie to me, don't cheat, because I lose respect once that happens. And that's very true of circles because they're willing to work together with people, so they don't like it when people are not being honest with them. So that's some of them. Then the rectangle. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say. A circle is a friend in need. Whenever you need a friend, circles are the best people to contact. And then the rectangle, they believe that somewhere over the rainbow there's a pot of gold. They just have to find it. So they like seeking and exploring. Sorry. They like seeking and exploring and learning new things. So they're really good when there's new things happening at work. They like to be proactive in learning whatever is around. And then the triangle, if it's on the outside, they're not always right, right? I find that triangles on the outside are too harsh for me. I have to learn to be more tactful when working with triangles on the outside because they're very bossy people usually. But you'll see that in people, right? When they're very bossy, and it's you get to know how to work with them. When you know about their their characteristics and their habits and their conflict styles and how to please them, they help you work with them better. So that's why I give you this about all the different shapes. Not only about you, it's about other people and how you work best with them. Then the squiggly line, they say life is short. Let's just do it, right? If you know a squiggly line person, they don't care about if something's going to cost too much or it's going to take too much time or whatever. They just want to do it. It doesn't matter. So they don't like paperwork and they're very impatient. They like to walk and talk and keep moving forward. Okay, so there's some common conflict scenarios. First of all, I want you to think about this. A square is frustrated because a squiggle is always late to meetings and misses deadlines. So based on what you've learned, why do you think that conflict is happening? We've only got 2 people talking. Yes, Ivy.
I think, Doctor, because they are, as you mentioned earlier, they are assigned to a task that is really not within their skills or their strength.
Yep. That's true. The squiggle isn't providing what a square needs, which is to people to be on time and take things seriously, right? The squiggle is more having a good time. You're not so much having a good time, actually. It's just like they just want things done quickly. So they don't mind being late. They don't mind missing deadlines. They want to be the ideas people. But a square really needs those things, right? So that's a cause of conflict. And then a circle is upset because a triangle made a decision without consulting the team. Now we see this at work a lot, right? Where a decision is made, but nobody asked you. So particularly circles, they get upset by that because they want to be asked and they want the team to work together. Whereas a triangle on the outside will often make a decision and just expect everybody to do it. So this can be any team that you're on, a committee, anything, right? Sometimes it's a small committee, sometimes it's a big committee, but sometimes triangles will just make a decision because that's what they do, they lead. So a circle gets upset because they felt they should have been asked. So I think that's, the triangle overlooks the fact that people need to feel like they're part of the team, and when they're given something to do without being asked, then they feel disappointed, upset, angry, whatever. And this, once you know that about people, it helps you deal with the situation better, right? So if you're a triangle, you have to remember that you can't always just make decisions without talking to people first. A circle has to understand that sometimes triangles will just do that, but you can't always feel upset about it, but you can point it out and say it would have been nice to ask the team first. So that's a way of dealing with it instead of just being upset about it. And then a triangle is impatient with a rectangle who seems unsure and keeps changing their mind, right? So a triangle needs people to be, on board straight away and just do things. Whereas a rectangle, they'll be unsure a bit, and same with a square, but rectangles more so change their mind because they're evolving all the time and they like looking at different ways to do things. Squares like things normal and, within the boundaries, whereas a rectangle is willing to change and grow. So there's one simple question that you should use when you have any conflict with people. So if you ask, from your perspective, what's the most important thing here? It always is a great question to ask yourself and the team, right? Because the square will always say the details are important, the triangle will say the result is important, and a circle will say team harmony is important. So everybody will say different things. But when you know that, that's what builds understanding. So if you hear somebody say, I need a result, they're a triangle and they do need a result. But a circle needs the team harmony and the square needs all the details, because no one can do their job unless they have all of these things, right? So a balanced team, and this is what we're always looking for, this is the ultimate in working well together. Each shape has its limits alone, but when we're together, it makes us more complete. So the squares provide structure, the triangles provide direction, the circles provide harmony, the squiggles provide innovation, and the rectangles remind us that growth and change are possible. So when you have all of those shapes together, you have a better outcome. So when you have a choice, it's always good to pick different shapes to work with you. If you have too many of the same thing, it doesn't work. If you have too many triangles in a team, everybody's going to be angry because they're all trying to lead. If you have too many squares, you won't have ideas. You'll have the details done, but you won't have ideas. So rectangles and squiggly lines are good to have in a team because they're more, the rectangles are open to change, and the squiggles give a lot of bright ideas, right? And the same with the circles. The circles are very good organizers. They have ideas and they're good at making them happen. That's what circles are. They're the people, not only harmony, but they're the people who make things happen. They're very good at organizing functions or teams or whatever. So your challenge now is to take the shape cheat sheet. That's these ones that I showed you. I'll just go back for a second. These ones that I gave you, you'll have the handout that Ivy, were you able to put it on or not?
Yes, I took a screenshot, doctor, and I put it in the chat so everybody can access.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, as I said, each shape alone has limits, but when we have all the shapes working together, as I said, you've got the squares with the structure, the circles with the harmony and organizing, and the squiggles with ideas and innovation, and the rectangles that remind us that growth and change are possible, and they push us forward to do that. So after you've looked at your shape cheat sheet, I want you this week to try and spot shapes in our colleagues that we work with, right? Even in your families. So when you face a challenge or a misunderstanding, pause and ask, is this a person problem or a shape problem? And then use what you learned today to adapt your style, right? When you understand others, it's easier to work with them and work out how to get along better and how to build stronger teams. So this is how we build a stronger, more invested ADU community. So I want you to think about your shape and how it could influence your approach to these components. So for your tasks and organization, giving and receiving feedback, and dealing with conflict. So think about your shape and how you could actually use that to influence other people. Sorry, my throat is really playing up now. So it takes every shape working together to form a successful and balanced team. So I want you to have fun now, reshaping your life. I hope that that's made you feel a little bit more knowledgeable about yourself and about people you work with. So there's all my shapes. And if you want to know more about it, it was first introduced by Dr. Susan Dellinger in 2011. And there's a lot of people since who've added to this, and I've done a lot of research. I research this every year to see what's new, and I adapt my workshop accordingly. But I think it's quite amazing, and my students have benefited greatly from this. They all say that it improved how they got along with each other. And I don't let people say, I want a different team because I've worked with this person before and they were lazy or they were bossy or whatever. I say, no, I want you to learn to work with that person, because in the workplace, you always have these different people. And if you don't know how to work with them, you either end up having to leave or get fired or whatever, because life is all about being able to get on with different people. And if you try and avoid them, it doesn't help. It helps more to learn how to work with them. So I hope that's helped everybody learn a bit about yourselves and about working with others, and I hope you enjoyed it. Are there any questions? No questions?
I think they are very shy tonight, Doctor.
Yes, they're all shy. Nobody has any questions or comments? I hope you all enjoyed it. Send me an emoji if you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And if you learned something from it. Thank you, Ivy. Oh, I like that, Rafiq. I love it. Okay, let's hope that all
For
these
the
people were
amazing
actually here.
session.
Sorry?
Thank you, Doctor, for delivering this wonderful session.
Thank you, Ivy. I really appreciate it. I hope that everybody was really there and not just logged in. And I hope that you actually got something out of it today. Thank you, Garda. Okay, thank you, everybody.